What is this video about? I'm going to tell you guys how you can get a fantastic guitar for not a lot of money. I own several guitars, a dozen. I've had all kinds of guitars and some very expensive guitars. But I kept coming back to this guitar. An SX VTG guitar. Check out that neck on that bad boy. Like a baseball bat. So, long story short, I kept coming back to this guitar and I didn't know why. And it finally dawned on me that this has got one of the greatest necks on any guitar, outside of a very expensive Fender guitar, that I've ever played with. And that's why I kept coming back to it. It's an SX VTG, which I'm sure wasn't all that expensive to make, although I believe this is Swamp Ash. The tuners are decent, but the neck is friggin' incredible, okay? So I got this guitar. It's kind of an interesting story, because I had a Classic Vibe 50s, Classic Vibes, and it's a really good Squire, but I never warmed to that Squire. I never liked it. They use a tremendous amount of poly on the back, and there's just something about it. I just, sometimes you have a guitar and you just don't bond with the thing. So I had that one, and I just never played it, and then I had this one, this SX, and I started playing. I'm like, I love how it feels, but I don't love how it sounds. So I got the brilliant idea, why don't I just swap the electronics from the Classic Vibe into the SX and see what I get. Unfortunately, the pickguard would not fit. The Classic Vibe pickguard would not fit on the SX. It's just different enough that it wouldn't fit. But I said, that's okay. So I took the SX pickguard, stripped it down, and then I took the Classic Vibe pickguard and took out the pots, took out the pups and the switch, and transferred it over to this pickguard. Put it in, and then I'm like, are you serious? Well, anyway, it's another really long story, and I feel kind of bad about it, but I'm going to fess up right here. I have to tell you this. So I had the Classic Vibe, but it was no longer a Classic Vibe because I put some really cheap Squire ceramics in it, and some pretty crappy switches. But I just wanted to sell it, trying to get rid of it. So I had this guy who's local, he's a dealer, and he called me, he says, oh, that's a Classic Vibe, I gotta buy it. And I said, no, it's not a Classic Vibe. If you look at it, it's really not a Classic Vibe. He goes, oh yeah it is. I'm like, dude, seriously, I'm only asking $225 for this guitar. And he said, no, that's a Classic Vibe. I'm like, all right, you want it? You got it. So he bought that. But anyway, but the real part of that 50s Classic Vibe lives on in this SX guitar. And I would encourage anybody, if you can find one of these, especially with that neck, it's just incredible. I mean, I have got $1,000 guitars, but I keep coming back to this. And somebody's going to say, oh, you don't know what you're doing then. Yeah, I do know what I've been doing. I've been playing for over 50 years. But anyway, these are fantastic guitars. The build quality, to me, seems really, really good. I'm not really doing a review on this per se, but it's real pretty. So, all right, so how did I get this particular guitar? It was on Facebook Marketplace. I paid $140 for it, and even though I didn't like the sound of it, the dude gave me the original SX electronics in a plastic bag. He said, hey, I replaced these with, I guess it was like a $40 upgrade or whatever. He had replaced the pickups, but it didn't sound good. I just like, But I was going through a crazy guitar period. I was buying everything sight unseen. But when I first picked up this SX, I'm telling you, man, I put my fingers on it and I was like, this thing feels like a baseball bat. And I had never felt anything this big. Well, my hands are not huge, okay? They're probably just a little under average. But I found out that when I started playing this thing, it just, everything fit. It fit great. It's just a really nice guitar. And I recommend, if anybody's looking for a cheap guitar that's really an amazing guitar, check out these SX VTGs. Now maybe this is obviously their Strat copy. Maybe their Telecasters are just as nice, but the neck on these bad boys is friggin' amazing. And like I said, when I first got into guitar playing, got back into it, they said, well, your hands aren't huge, you ought to get a thin neck. So I did. I went and got a RG 550 Genesis or something like that. And I hated it. I hated that neck. It was thin, but I just hated it. Something about these big necks, I think they call them U-necks. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble here a little bit, but this is a fantastic guitar. Friggin' thing is really pretty. I'm playing this through a Boss Katana 50, rather on the inexpensive side. And no, I'm not playing a lot right now. But anyway, check these out if you get a chance. They're amazing guitars. If you can find them, get them. Like I said, I paid $140 for this, and I may have overpaid, but as it turns out, I feel this is as good as a $900 guitar or something like that, once you get the electronics in it. Anyway, that's it. Happy guitar hunting. Happy guitar scrounging. Like I said, I've learned a lot about guitars, and made in, all that nonsense, it doesn't mean anything to me. Because I've had Fenders that I sold that were junk as far as I was concerned. But this bad boy, it's the real deal. Okay, thank you. Happy guitaring.